All right, we're live. Howdy, folks. Welcome to Office Hours with Brandon and Ashley. We're here to answer all of your social media questions. So make sure you go ahead and drop those in the comments. And yeah, we'd love to answer as many of those as possible. How you doing, Ashley?
I'm doing well. This week has been chaos for social media, but you and I are doing well.
Why, is there anything unique going on with social this week?
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard the everything's kind of going insane. Definitely TikTok. We're going to talk about TikTok today. Got to talk about Meta because they are also making some wild changes. And then whatever anyone else has questions about, we'd be happy to cover. But Brandon, do you want to start with TikTok? How are you feeling about TikTok? Because you're someone who has dedicated a lot of time and energy into building up your TikTok presence. And for anyone who doesn't know, Sundays when the ban is going into effect, and there's been a lot of back and forth this week on what that really is going to look like. The latest, to my understanding, is that TikTok has declared, hey, we're just going to voluntarily shut down Sunday because we're pretty sure this is going through. We're going to go out on our own terms. So if you open the app after Sunday, it'll be black, like black screen. You can't access anything, and it'll probably redirect you to a page with more info about the ban. So now's your chance to get everything out before that happens.
Yeah. So where we're currently at is, much like you said, TikTok is going to be going away, or the ban will go into effect on Sunday,
Hmm.
the 19th. Now, the way that it was kind of what we believed to be the case was that essentially it would still be it would still be available to you if it's on your phone. Like everyone's referencing Flappy Bird, right? As
Yeah.
kind of like the example where it's like, yes, it's gone from the store,
Hmm.
but you would still be able to, access TikTok on your phone if you have it. You just wouldn't be able to get updates through the App Store.
Right.
Well, I think that was it sounds to me like where we're at right now from everything that's happened. It sounds to me like that was kind of like the consolation that the US government was like, see, we're taking care of you, but you'll still be okay. Like you'll still be able to like figure out something, you know?
You'll have a month or two to play
Yeah,
around with it
yeah.
still before it goes
But with
away.
TikTok saying like, look, if you're gonna ban us, like, then we're gonna take our ball and go home. They're gonna be
Mhm.
shutting off service on Sunday immediately. There was a change where the Biden administration now is trying to find ways to prevent that from happening. Now, arguably, they could have done that by vetoing that bill, way back when. What people also seem to have forgotten is how this TikTok ban came through in the first place, which is
Right.
that it was shoved in last minute into that aid package that was
Mhm.
going to all of our allies.
Right.
And so, because of that, like, no one was like, one side wasn't going to ban or wasn't going to block aid to Ukraine. One side wasn't going to block aid elsewhere, right? Like, there's all this other stuff in there that everyone wanted. And so they just threw the TikTok ban in there at the last
Right.
minute.
Well, and it meant they didn't talk to any constituents. They didn't have anyone come and speak on TikTok's behalf. They didn't talk to all the creators who make a living off of it. So I think it's just really it's going to be kind of a mess if this really does happen. And I
It's
think
gonna
they're
be
trying
a
to backtrack it.
real mess. In fact, it was a mess yesterday on
Hmm.
TikTok.
It
So
was.
normally, as you mentioned, I have, dedicated the last year to really, growing on TikTok. Um, and in the last year, I went from 0 followers to almost 70,000 followers, just, consistent content
Mhm.
creation. And I loved it. I loved the community. I've made some really, really good friends on that app, who are other content creators. And it's nice to get a little extra cheese every month to like, it's not enough to do anything spectacular. It's like, I got to get my family some cool Christmas presents and I, put some extra groceries on the table. Like that's
Mhm.
all it is. But like yesterday, people didn't get paid for hours. Like normally usually comes in like in the morning.
Mm.
Like some people weren't paid till like 10, 11 o'clock at night last night.
Right.
So, like, there was a lot of weird delays. Everyone was like, "What's going on?" But it sounds like this thing is going completely dark. There's really not a whole lot of options left. Hey, Camilla. The Ed Markey bill got shut down by Tom Cotton. Like, it's basically over. Um,
Mhm.
Now this is all done in the name of national security, and where's everybody going? They're not going to Meta.
They're going to
We're
Red Note. So this is interesting. I was going
Yeah,
to talk about this. So this is what's interesting is I think the government's trying so hard to pull this back is for two reasons. One, because the immediate response from the public is, oh, okay, if you won't let us have TikTok, there is another app kind of like TikTok called Red Note that's similar. Problem is, I don't think it's problem, but problem is it's Chinese owned and operated. And so now everyone's like, fine, if the problem is our data, we will just willingly go give our data to China by using a Chinese app and go hang out over there. And so the government's now like, oh, that is not at all what we wanted. We thought you'd go to Meta because they all have stocks and money and Meta is very popular.
mhm,
And so instead people jump over to Meta. Well, then to really drive the point home, everyone's also like, okay, fine, then we'll boycott Meta. And so everyone's deleting their accounts and their apps for Meta, which is they've lost millions of users in the last couple days and their stocks are tanking. And it's just so fascinating to see because I'm like, we're seeing the death of Twitter because kind of Elon Musk has made all these changes. Meta, that's happened. And I think what plays into this is Meta also is changing their content moderation features.
moderation, yeah.
And what's happening is it's allowing a lot more hate speech to marginalized groups to slip through and be deemed okay. So I think people are also like, okay, what the heck? You're allowing hate speech. You're taking away TikTok. Like this is just causing a lot of issues and it's all happening in such a condensed period that everyone's boycotting Meta, jumping over to Red Note. And for creators and people like you, I think it's putting people in a really tough spot of, okay, if TikTok's gone and I've used that to build this audience, where do I go next? And so I was going to
Mhm.
ask you if you've kind of figured out, because I think a lot of people, Instagram Reels isn't the same, YouTube Shorts isn't the same. And while you obviously, I think most people are going to try to move to one or the other. I'm curious what your thoughts are as an actual creator because it looks crazy.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be interesting to see where like social selling ends up landing. I think that Instagram Reels kind of works a little bit better for social selling than something like YouTube Shorts. And we've gotten asked this multiple times from people in the past, like, "Oh, is like should I be going on YouTube?" And it's like, you can go to YouTube. I think that social selling, the value of like short form video, doesn't quite exist in the same way on something like YouTube Shorts in the way that it does on Instagram Reels.
Hmm.
Um, at least for right now. Now for anyone who's listening who's a creator, I think that's a different question. The question is like, where are the eyeballs at? Where are the people who share the same interests? And I think that I'm seeing a lot of my friends move over to YouTube.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of them are like, I've tried Instagram. It's not really conducive to what we do or what we talk about. So it's like,
Yeah.
what do where do you go? So,
Yeah.
but I
I
think
think
for social selling, I would say probably Instagram is gonna be the big bet.
I would agree with you. I'm like, I think the interesting thing about TikTok is that the algorithm is so hyper personalized, whereas Instagram does prioritize your followers and then kind of pushes your content beyond that. So Instagram has always kind of been treated more as like a I don't even want to say retention. I don't think that's the right word, but connecting with your existing community and then hoping to also share content that then gets promoted beyond that to attract and grow that community, which is a different mindset from kind of the guerrilla TikTok. Like I can throw anything out there and there's no guarantee that the same people will see it, even if those are my followers.
Mhm.
And then on YouTube, I think that you've got a cross section between educational and entertainment, where there's a lot of really in-depth educational content that people go there for. And then there's just the straight like entertainment, favorite vloggers or creators or people that I just find entertaining. So I think the best thing that I would advise loan officers, real estate agents, people like that to do is post to both. Maybe try tailoring your content a little bit, like the titles of your videos or your captions, and really trying to make the YouTube ones a bit more informational and helpful in that way. Because I also think when you search, both of them are going to get surfaced in Google searches more often, but YouTube's going to be the more like, hey, if you want to
Prominent
know
one.
what to expect from a home inspection, let me go over everything you need to know before you get to that point in your home buying process. And I think people are going to go more for, I use YouTube for like, how do I change my car filter so I don't have to pay $200 for someone to just swap something under my hood? That's the information. So if you can do that on YouTube, or if you do like skits and entertainment stuff, that's going to do really well, probably on both, because social media is about entertainment.
Mhm.
But then YouTube also, you can do longer form videos. So for people who are kind of like, oh, like the short format is hard for me, I want to try like more in depth, like here, let me do a 15-minute consultation on a video and show you what it would be like, what questions I would ask. That could be an interesting approach to building up your YouTube following and being like a resource there.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you're kind of hitting a good point, which is that so much of YouTube, in the way that I use it, like I'm not really a big YouTube consumer. I never really
Mhm.
have been. Um, is I do know that Gen Z is very big on YouTube, like
Gen Z is
big.
very big on YouTube. Mhm.
Um, is that for me? I When I do use it, it does tend to be something like, I need to change the headlights on a 2015 Honda Odyssey. Like, how do I do that? You know what I mean? Like, very specific things. And I think that the opportunity to create videos talking about very specific things, very specific situations, could potentially be a value you're going to get less views. You're not going to getting 10,000 views on your YouTube video, but if you can, and this is what we've been saying with social content the same time all along, which is that the views don't matter if you're hitting the right person. Like if
Right.
you can create the content that fits that, the square peg for the square hole, like that's
Mhm.
what you're really trying to do is create as much content as possible so that someone with a very specific need finds that video that fits that specific need. I think you could still do that on YouTube. The only concern that I do have around YouTube is that the production quality of YouTube videos tends to be higher
That's true.
than TikTok content and even Reels content. And so I think it's landscape instead of portrait. So I would
The
say that
long form, the YouTube
for the
Shorts
long
are still
form, yes.
vertical.
So if you're gonna do shorts, yeah. But I think that more people are going to see success trying long form to start out to kind of build their following in order to then push out shorts. I think the best bet is um, link up with someone else and
Mhm.
still use your phone, put it in cinematic mode, and film your content as if you were filming everything else. And
Like
still, you can
slideshows.
run it through Video Catalyst and get all that stuff edited and still have a high quality video that you can publish onto YouTube.
Mhm. I agree, and I think if you're gonna do long form educational content, that's your place to interview real estate agents or do like a podcast or show up with 5 questions and say, "Here are the 5 questions we're answering in today's video. Boom, boom, boom. Follow for more." And the biggest thing I think I'm gonna continue to encourage is this doesn't end with TikTok. Like video content is the most powerful way to convert people on all platforms. So don't give up on video just because TikTok has gone away. LinkedIn, it's huge. Facebook, it's still one of the top with Reels. Instagram, it's still up there. More apps are coming out every day. So, like, who knows? Maybe we'll get kind of an American owned TikTok replica in the next couple months. So, don't give up on video. And this is actually a
Well, I
great
did see like Mark Cuban put out basically like a bounty where he was like, I will fund anyone willing to come up with a Reels or like a TikTok alternative on Blue Sky.
Oh, there you go.
So
See, so the thing with the platforms is the platforms come and go. Like they surge in popularity. Like Snapchat is really big with certain demographics still. Like they're the apps are not the focus. It's more if you have the content and it's valuable content, you already have that and that's time you've already invested. So it's like girl math, right? It's a sunk cost. You've already spent the time. So why not distribute that on whatever platform? And then the better you get at video and the better you get at presenting yourself and selling yourself, that video could go in an email. It could go on a landing page on your website. All of this can still work in your favor because it's still you presenting yourself as a resource in a way that makes you more accessible to more people without them needing to pick up the phone and call you because your time is finite, but your video content, if you record 2 videos a week for a year, think of all that like time that someone could go through and learn from you and be spending time with you and feeling like, "Oh, this person is investing time in helping me." But then you don't have to spend that FaceTime. But then when they pick up the phone and they go, "Okay, I watched your 5-step video for home buyers and I did steps 1 through 5 and then you said call you. What do I do next?" That's what you want. And that's what you're using that content to do is to help qualify those leads so that they come to you ready to go, which is in the end a huge time saver.
yeah, I think to boil it all down to a final punctuation
Mhm.
mark. Um, if you have been using TikTok with your content, or if you were planning on using TikTok for your content, I think Reels is probably the first place to go, and I think it's worth diversifying into YouTube to figure out if that can make sense.
Mhm.
Also, one thing that's great is that YouTube is easy to embed, like, pretty much everywhere.
Mhm.
So, any content you create on YouTube, you can be embedding on websites and in emails and in PowerPoint presentations. Like, there's YouTube is just so easy to use. So having your content there can be really valuable as well. So
Yeah.
Instagram, YouTube, probably the two best places. And then yeah, just try out other platforms, like we're back to the Wild West. So just
Right.
start pulling levers and see what you come up with.
Yeah,
That's what
everyone's
I'm
going
doing.
everywhere. I would just remind everyone, if you are on TikTok and you've built a healthy following, from now till Sunday, you should be pushing people to try to follow you on other apps. So don't just go silent, because I mean, it's tempting, right? To just go silent and be like, "Oh, okay, it's a wash." But those are people who can find you on YouTube, on Instagram. So if you give them a reason, if you say, "Hey, if you found my financing tips helpful and you want more, I'm over here on Instagram. Come find me. Come find me on YouTube," whatever it is. Make sure you're directing the audience to prioritize following you, or you're just going to lose a lot of them.
Mhm.
Um, and then, oh, I had a second one, but I just lost it. That's
Go
okay.
download all your content,
Yes. Yes, that is, of course, and any
especially
analytics.
if it's going dark.
Yeah, especially if it's going dark, you don't wanna lose all that. So I posted a video for my Tip Tuesday on Instagram, LinkedIn. If you go find that, it's a Chrome extension you can use to bulk download all of your videos without the watermark, onto your computer, which I found easier than, like, manually one by one downloading onto your phone. The one catch is that you can't be logged into the same account that you're downloading them from, which is so weird, but it's the way it works.
Hmm.
So you have to, if like from the Social Coach account, I had to download them by logging into my personal account. So
Did
you
it
might
download
have
them
to.
with watermarks?
No, there were no watermarks on them when I got them out.
Hmm, that's great.
Yeah, so it was great, and it puts it all in a file on your desktop computer, and then you can just convert that over. Um, so
Amazing.
that's a great tip. Yeah, download all your stuff, and then for analytics, I would say, either just get as much of your data and analytics out as you can. TikTok does make you request the data, and then because I think everyone's doing it, it's taking them a while to get it back to you. So definitely request that now. Don't wait till Sunday. But what I would do just in case is go back to like the last month, last 6 month, last year, and just take a look at your top performing videos, because they'll help rank those for you. And just write down the topics and what those were, so that then when you start moving over to Reels, those are the ones you start posting first and iterating on first. Um, because you learned a lot from TikTok, hopefully, and you want to bring those learnings wherever you go.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, yeah. There's it sucks. Anyway,
I know.
um,
It's hard. It's a hard thing, I think, for people who have put so much time and energy into building this up, and then to have it taken away kind of suddenly. It's abrupt, and I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like this before, which is
we
wild.
really haven't. We really have not.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, let's talk about what should we discuss? Anyone have any questions? If you have a question that you want us to answer, feel free to throw it into the comments. Do we have anything on our Instagram comments? Anyone?
We've got people watching, but no comments so
Okay,
far.
no comments
Also, good
yet.
morning to Camilla and Miriam. Nice to see you guys. See Mark on here, a couple people, but yeah, it's been a week, in the social world, and everything's up in the air, and that's sometimes just how it goes. But we just keep posting and chugging along, right?
Yeah.
But
Let's see. Anything
yeah.
at the top of mind that you want to talk about?
Um, oh, I think I was gonna mention that YouTube Shorts has been extended to 3 minutes. So for anyone moving their content over there, it used to be capped at 1 minute, which was kind of a nightmare because, you know,
Awful.
Instagram's at 90 seconds. It made it hard. So they extended it to 3 minutes. So you won't be able to put like 10-minute videos. That'll still be a full YouTube video, which won't get the same push and traction with your views. The shorts do get pushed out pretty well. We've been cross posting some of our stuff, and it's done decently. It gets average 500 views per video, which is great.
I still
Um,
haven't I still haven't put any of my content on YouTube Shorts yet.
mhm.
Not because I didn't want to, but because I had to there was like a whole situation with my username where like
Oh, no.
it was on an old account that I didn't know about, and so like I had to like do this whole switcheroo thing, but like I had to wait 2 weeks so bad.
Oh my gosh, no.
So
No, yeah, and the thing about YouTube is you can do playlists, which I think people forget. So even with your shorts, you can categorize those into playlists, which I like. So for my Tip Tuesday series, as we've been posting those, what's nice is I can put all those shorts into a Tip Tuesday playlist for like social media tips. And then hopefully, if people click into the profile, then they're going to be directed to all the tips from the same topic. So for loan officers or anyone who's doing YouTube and has all these shorts on like specific home buyer tips versus refinancing tips versus down payment assistance, you can categorize those into playlists and brackets.
that's gonna be
And
huge.
yeah, that's going to be great.
What do you think? Why do you think Meta, particularly with
Mhm.
Instagram, is so behind when it comes to extending the time length of Reels videos? The fact that YouTube says, okay, let's triple the length of your videos now that TikTok's going away. And
Mhm.
yet Instagram still seems to be sticking to their guns of 90 seconds, which may be my least favorite length of content for myself. Like
Yeah.
I tend to be close to like 2 minutes. So why do you think Instagram seems to be just so stuck in their ways on that?
I'm not sure. My initial thought is because it's a little more angled at social selling, kind of like you said, like they're trying to keep it more concise. But then also, I know that they have a scaling system for how high quality your videos are. So, like, if a video doesn't do as well, they'll start scaling down the quality of that video because less people
Mhm.
are watching it. And I wonder if that saves them like money and space and storage if they're doing that. And so if people start uploading 10, 15 long videos, you know, then that's harder for their systems to handle. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not super on the tech side of things, but they've always had that like stories are 15 seconds, right? Which I'm like, why not have a longer story? Why does it have to cut and clip? And that's just a little bit the way they are. So it'd be really interesting. I wonder if they're going to get more questions about that um, as people jump over, because I agree with
Yeah.
you. While there's a lot you can do with 90 seconds or less, once you have an audience who likes to hear from you, that long form, more in-depth content where it's kind of like, oh, I like to chat for 2 minutes. It feels comfortable. I got a full thought in, but I'm not having to like super cut everything to be really cut and go. There's value there. So I wonder if they'll start, especially with YouTube raising it to 3 minutes. I'm just curious if
Yeah.
they're going to then be like, all right, you forced our hand.
Yeah, it just feels like sometimes I'm just really gutting my videos. They just cut them down to that 90-second mark. But
Hmm.
great for YouTube. I'm gonna definitely be finally, now that I've got access to my account, I'll be able to start putting because that
Yeah.
was the other thing too. It's like 1 minute. It's like most of my videos are like between 90 seconds and 2 minutes. It's like, all right, I can start pushing them over there if the limit's
Mhm.
three.
Well,
But
and
that's
something I'll emphasize there is I think YouTube is going to really make for really good series content. So taking like 5 homebuyer tips and doing one per video and then doing like a part one, part two, part three, because you can put them all in a playlist on YouTube. And that's something that TikTok you couldn't unlock until you got to a high creator level status. But I think that could really be helpful for people like loan officers, real estate agents, where you are trying to push people kind of through a process or you want to have these series and give relevant information, but up in a way that's easily digestible. So I do think that that'll kind of change some of the way we see some video content being distributed.
yeah. There it is, YouTube.
There it is. Jake says, no way, YouTube up to 3 minutes, total game changer. I agree. He's
Absolutely.
been making vertical videos, but has trouble staying below 60 seconds, often closer to 90. Yeah, I think that's the case for a lot of people. I think sometimes like those fun, entertaining, trending reels are really easy to be like 15 seconds or less. But like between 30 and 90 seconds, I think that's a hard place to be really like, I'm trying to give valuable information, but stay really concise. So it'll be interesting to see how the 3 minute
I think
extension.
the other really nice thing about YouTube is that if I think about, I watched more YouTube back when I was like in college.
Mhm,
Um, and when I think about how a lot of like now creators that I followed back in the day used to talk, they would talk about their community a lot. Um,
mhm.
you don't really see people on Instagram talking about their community in the same way that YouTube does or did,
Mhm.
and in the way that TikTok always has. Like, TikTok has always been one that feels, like, very community based. Like
Mhm.
like I said, I've made very good friends because, when you are in because that way that algorithm works, it funnels you in and you start to, like, run into the same people quite a bit,
Mhm.
um, and get a lot of people's content. And, especially with stitching and duets, like, people tended to kind of bounce off of each other's content. And that community feeling might be more prevalent on YouTube. The reason I mention this is because I think that that's really what mortgage and real estate professionals should be shooting for with your
Mhm.
content is a kind of a community feel, because what you're doing is you're trying to bring people in and then nurture them through your content to the point when they are ready to take out a loan, you are the person that they think of immediately, that you kind of
Right.
become synonymous with the home buying process. And that, I think, is probably where YouTube is going to stand out versus Instagram, in that it just, I don't know, there's something about like the idea of like subscribing to someone rather than just following that person. Like, I don't know if I'm making that part up, but like that's just YouTube's always felt more community based to me.
Mhm. Well, I think that TikTok and YouTube have a little bit more of a casual tone. Like you've said, like YouTube creators tend to go higher quality with their videos, but there is still that more, like you said, community based, a little bit more intimate, kind of like, hey, you're my crew and come with me and I want to help you. Whereas Instagram, I think, has always felt a little more glossy. It's a little more like the perfect picture and like presenting like the good marketing and feeling a little bit more like a broadcast channel, like a little bit more like, look at what I want you to know,
Like a
rather than like, let me
curated,
invite
yeah.
you in to my space and you're going to see me even when things are a mess. And I think what I see with people who do this well, I think more people got comfortable on TikTok, and then I've seen people bring that into Instagram where they use their stories to as like a more podcast. Like they'll sit and talk to their camera as if it's friends on a story. And I'm like, that's a great way because it disappears after 24 hours. So if you end up hating the video later, it's not living up there forever. But I've seen people get comfortable. But then what they'll start doing is you hear them go, oh, that was a good one. And then they'll put it in a reel and then they post that. And then that has the
Mm,
potential to linger if it's good advice or whatever. So I think what I would love to see more people doing is getting more comfortable with just talking to your stories as if they're clients, people kind of saying, hey guys, we just finished office hours. I think it went well. Let me know if you popped in, if you have any questions we didn't answer, blah, blah, blah. Like that's how you can jump on and do lives. We talked about lives on TikTok all the time, and I saw that worked so well for people. You can do that on Instagram, and you know who follows you on Instagram. Like that's your whole community, and Facebook too. So definitely like bringing in and going live on Instagram and kind of saying, hey guys, I'm just here in my office eating lunch. I'll just answer your home buying questions. Let me know what questions you have about rates or this or that. That's going to help people just feel like they know you and you're bringing them into your space and welcoming it instead of just blasting them with promo stuff all the time. Because I feel like that's where Instagram just gets a little bit too salesy sometimes.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, maybe I don't know if you agree with me. That's just my opinion.
No, I think I mean, I think that there's a lot of strings that kind of connect YouTube and TikTok, especially that
Mhm.
those 2 apps feel more creator based. They feel more like people trying to create something,
Mhm.
rather than it feels like a lot of times Instagram's trying to push brands and brand content. Like,
Mhm.
this is going to be a very unique situation, but I think it highlights the difference between the two. Is that on Instagram, you get the way that creators make money on Instagram is through brand deals. There is no incentive to create content specifically from Instagram, whereas TikTok had, where depending on how many views you got on your content, you got paid. And the
Mhm.
same thing for YouTube. And so the incentive is not to go out and hustle and market and advertise products. TikTok Shop obviously existed.
Mhm.
Um, but the value was, if you can create content that people want to engage with, you should be compensated for that. And YouTube feels the same way. So because of that, I think that there's kind of this like spiritual relationship between the two of them in terms of like relatability and information and education being blended together, that I think the things that worked well on TikTok, I think will also work well on YouTube. And
I think
so
so too. And I
I think
think the
that that's
people
kind of,
who learn how to translate that to Instagram with their community will see success. I agree with you. The brand stuff does get more promoted on Instagram by Instagram. But if you find the right audience and you create the content that resonates with them, I do think you'll see success there because people will feel more brought into your community. But I would try both. I would really try both and see, because they are different platforms, but the goal is the same, right? It's about helping educate people, helping stay front of mind so that you're the one they think of, and then hopefully being there as a resource so that when they are ready, they reach out and say, "Hey, I've seen all your stuff. I have questions. Can you help me?"
Yeah. Let's see. FC Acosta, I agree with your perspectives. Can you remind me when Social Coach will connect with YouTube? Um, can't connect with YouTube right now. It's something that we're, you know, always looking at. So
Yes.
that's all I
The
can say.
API stuff is definitely, I love how every platform just, like, makes it different to connect the API
They all
on the back
have their
end.
own little intricacies, don't they?
It's just so much fun, but yeah, definitely something we are looking into because we know it's gonna be
And I
big
think it's
now that,
become even more valuable. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
so
all right.
appreciate
Well, Ashley, thank you. Great chatting
Thank
with
you.
you. Uh, the doom and the gloom and the joy of social media this week.
I know. Next week's gonna
Thanks.
be so different, you guys.
I know.
A new horizon. But thanks
Okay.
everyone for tuning
We will
in. We
see you all
appreciate.
in 2 weeks. Same place, same time for office hours. Bye.
Yes, and if anyone wants to join our Facebook Creator Hub group on Facebook, go ahead and search up Social Coach Creator Hub, and you can drop any questions that we missed or didn't get to there. If not, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
And if you're in Utah, come join us for Thrive in
Yes.
2025 in Lehigh. It's 100% free. Full. It's
Mhm.
a 4-hour marketing event. Ashley's presenting. I'm presenting. Handful of other marketing geniuses will be presenting. Um, we're really excited. So you can find that on our socials, Thrive in 2025, and yeah, register at the link. It's free. So
Yeah.
thanks everybody.
Hope to see you guys there.
Bye.